Hey
Hmm.
everybody, welcome back to Movie Mayhem. I'm Donnie Shields and I'm here with Chase Morgan Hewlett. Chase, how are you doing today?
I am fine. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. We're coming off a Super Bowl. This is recorded after Super Bowl. It's basically Super Bowl Monday, if we're going to call it that. I hear a lot of schools and businesses are off work today. Don't know why that's a thing. I expect people to be back at their place of employment, but apparently that's a new generational trend in which, as a Seahawks fan, go celebrate everybody that's a Seahawks fan. But if you're a Patriots fan, bad day for you. Chase, I know that you have some, well, what you like to do on the channel periodically is also show the audience what movies that you have collected, whether it's steel books or DVDs. And I hear that you have some physical media that you want to show us.
Yes. So physical media is still a thing, guys. You should still go out and buy them. It supports the filmmakers, yada, yada, yada. You should still go out and get that. I am a big advocate for that. And Donnie, if you ever add to your collection, please share with us. But as much as I love DVDs and Blu-rays, I also like VHSs, as you can see right here, and my little TV that I watch them on. There's something about watching a movie with, when you turn those older TVs on, it kind of the picture fades in, and as you're watching it, you still kind of get that fuzzy look. As much as I like a good cinematography and like a good cinematic look, I still get like this nostalgia feel by watching a movie on a VHS on an old player. I don't know if you feel that, Donnie, but it's something that I love, especially older movies. It's just really cool to kind of see that, and I love those types. And VHSs are really cheap now, funny enough. Like no one wants them, it seems like. But I do. So I have four that I've gotten. My first one is Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. So I have the first one back there somewhere. And I found this and I was real excited about it. I can pull it out. We can have a going back in the day type feel. Um, in great condition. I like Wrath of Khan, my favorite Star Trek film. We can have a whole discussion just on what's the best Star Trek film, but this is my personal favorite. Um, Original trilogy. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. The original trilogy is really good. I think there's a lot of Star Trek shows out there that aren't as good as the original. So if you ever want to try to watch it, Donnie or anyone watching, you should start with these movies or the series, the original series. So I got that one. And speaking of Star Trek, I got the third one as well. They were sitting right next to each other in this like old antique mall that my wife and I were shopping at. And I first saw this one and I was like, well, I got to get it because that's really cool. And then I saw the second one right next to it and I was like, I have to get both because I have the first one. So now I have three and I still got to get the fourth and fifth one, but this is also a really good one. uh, Search of Spock. I'm not going to go into what it's about and going into all that because it would take up the entire episode. But if you haven't seen these, you should go watch them. And then the other two finds that I found in the same area, I'm more excited about. And Donnie, tell me if you haven't seen any of these, because I'm curious. I'm doubting you've seen these. But the first one is Willow. Get a little bit closer. Willow. This is a
I've
Ron
seen
Howard movie.
bits and pieces of it.
Uh,
I've heard not good things about the second one on Disney Plus.
Oh, the series? Yeah, it looks pretty, but that's about it. But the original Willow, Val Kilmer, Warlock Davis, directed by Ron Howard, there's this 80s dark fantasy genre out there. I don't know if you've seen many of them, but they are really awesome. You either like them or don't like them because the effects aren't always top tier, let's just say. If you've ever seen Dark Crystal or Labyrinth or the Never-Ending Story, I had to think about it for a second. The effects aren't always the best, but there's this nostalgic feel to it that I just love. And I think that's mainly why I really like him, and the story, of course. But Willow's great. George Lucas created the story. So if you're a big Star Wars fan and like George Lucas, check out Willow. It's fun. It is only like 2 hours. It's a great story. So I was so happy to find this. And when I got it, I came home and I plugged it into that little TV and I watched, I think half of it before my wife was like, we have a bigger TV. Why don't we just watch it on that? But there's nothing like watching it VHS. So got Willow. And my final one, of course, is from a favorite actor of mine, Humphrey Bogart. I found The Treasure at Sierra Madre. This is my favorite Bogart film. One of my favorites, I would say. It's hard to pick a favorite. I don't know if you have a favorite actor and hard to pick a favorite one of theirs, but this has to be the top two. Great film, inspires me to make my own movie, and probably a film that Bogart should have won the Oscar for. He's kind of like the Leonardo DiCaprio back then, where he did so well in many movies, but he never got recognized right away. So he just did a really good job. And then the film that he did win an Oscar for, which is The African Queen, I don't think he deserved it then. It was kind of like, okay, he deserves an award. We should have gave it to him when this came out, but we didn't. I can go on a rant about that. But anyway, if you haven't seen this movie, check it out. It's about finding gold in the desert, and they go mad and go crazy. Kind of reminds you of a film that we recently made. I don't know. But very good film. So definitely check these out. But that is what I have added to the VHS collection.
I'll tell you what, I was not expecting a VHS collection today, Chase. I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting that. I was thinking like Steelbook, Blu-ray, DVD, and here we come back with the VHS. But I can tell it's like audience, my nostalgia is this. So I know what Chase is saying about the grainy feel on the small TVs because when I was just a teenager down in Georgia, we always used to go down there every summer because my great uncle had a place there on the lake, and I would always take the PlayStation 2. Now you're dating yourself by saying the PlayStation 2 anyway, but you take the
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 and hook it up to one of those small TVs, and you're playing baseball on that screen. You can barely see the ball coming in and stuff like that. It's like fuzzy, it's grainy. So that's a nostalgia feeling for me. That's what I'm used to. So I didn't really grow up necessarily on the small TV as far as seeing the motion pictures, but that's what I grew up playing video games on the small TV.
So the TV I grew up with, you pulled a knob and it turned on and it slowly came in. And I'm aging myself right now. I had a GameCube, brand new, that we would plug in and we'd play Lego Star Wars. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that was prime.
We had a big conversion van going down to Georgia a few times too, in which there was like a TV mounted, kind of about that same size, so like that same TV,
Hmm.
and it had the Nintendo in it. So I was playing the Nintendo the whole way down, like 13 some hours down to Georgia. So that was, that was pretty cool and a good memory. But no, I absolutely get it. For the 2000s kids, they'll never understand. So
No, they
because
won't.
then
They
then you
won't.
moved into the whole digital, like you would go like almost like a MacBook where you would flip it up and like that be your DVD player where you just open up and then put the DVD in, close it, and then you had your little
Yep.
portable box. So then we developed into that, and then phones became a thing. Who knew?
And
Or
then everything's ruined now.
absolutely everything. I don't even know why we're talking about this. Everything's ruined. It's all over. Um, but no, I completely understand the feeling of the VHSs and very nostalgic. What's also going to be nostalgic is maybe some of these films this year, looking back in the future, because we have our most anticipated films of 2026. Chase, I believe we're going to do the same order we did for the trilogies, 5 to 1. I imagine is going to be the order of the events here. And Chase, I'm going to have you kick it off with your number 5 for most anticipated here in 2026.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a good year for movies. I'll just throw that out there. There seems like a lot of remakes, of course, but there's also a lot of adaptations from old shows that are now being adapted into an actual film. And I'm not so again, like I know we always talk about how remakes ruin are like really everywhere now, and that's all they make, and they don't have any original ideas and whatnot. But I have to admit that there are some remakes that they come out with that I think are cool because it might be something that you haven't seen in a while. I think the sequels that I don't like are when it's so recent or it's a sequel we didn't need. I think that's when I have a problem or a remake we didn't need. But what I have listed out are films that some of mine are films that are remakes, but it hasn't been a remake for a long time. Like that's why I was like, real excited when the Willow series was coming out because Willow is something that most people don't really know much about because it's an old film and so when I heard about it, I was like, yes, but then I didn't like the show. So it kind of I like those kind of remakes, even though the show wasn't that great. But my number 5 is Disclosure Day, directed by Steven Spielberg. It comes out June 12th, and what I like about this film, other than Steven Spielberg, is it's not telling you much. It's just the trailer's working very well because you know it has to do with some alien type invasion or disclosing something that the whole world needs to know, but then he doesn't tell you. And we've talked before how trailers ruin movies. Like you've seen the whole movie in the trailer, and this movie's not doing that because it's not really telling you what's going on. Like if my wife watches this, I'm sorry, but she's very opinionated with movies. Like she's really fun to watch when she's watching a movie because she'll tell you if she doesn't like someone, doesn't like what's happening. She'll say ill at least twice during a film. Doesn't matter if it's nasty or not. And when we were watching the trailer, because she went to Ireland with me, she was like, "What is happening in this trailer? Like, what's this about? I don't want to watch it." And I was like, "That's why I want to watch it because I don't know." And then I can go into this movie finding out what it's about. But I know it has to do with Alien. And we all know Steven Spielberg, he's really good at the science fiction with E.T., Close Encounters, whether he's produced it or actually directed it, and I think he's going to do really good. War of the Worlds, like he did really good with that film. So we all have faith that he can do an alien invasion type film. So I don't know what your thoughts of this movie are. I know you've seen the trailer because you've been in the movies recently, but that's my number five, Disclosure Day.
Okay. You know what's interesting is Disclosure Day did not make my list, so this isn't, so I guess a spoiler for the rest of the list, but it's actually good that we have a different top five starting off already.
Yeah.
Disclosure Day, even though I'm very interested in seeing it in the theater, and I like what Steven Spielberg's getting back to, kind of ET, and even though J.J. Abrams directed Super 8, I still believe that Steven Spielberg was a executive producer on the film Super 8. So
Yeah.
it's very much so that vibe. And I haven't seen a film like that in, oh gosh, Chase, how long? I mean, the only thing that I would hope from a movie like that, when they're not showing a lot of things, I hope that it adds something to a science fiction era or an area besides like the typical alien invasion, maybe like happy ending, world ends, or I don't know. It's just I would like to see something. We kind of need in the science fiction realm, we need like that new little spark, kind of like the horror genre when like zombies were introduced.
Yeah.
Like we need something to spark the sci-fi realm. Maybe this is a film that does it, but I'm interested. I think it's shot beautifully. I like you know what? I think the sound. I gave a lot of credit to 28 Years Later on the first trailer that they did, not for the Bone Temple, but for the first one last year,
Yeah.
or one, I guess I should say, 28 Years Later. I love the sound design in the trailers. And this one, especially when Emily Blunt's trying to say something and it's starting to go like all like frackly sounding and like, like a kind of, you don't know if it's like an alien call or reception's bad or whatever, but I appreciate what they're doing because like it's creepy and it's weird and it's ominous.
Yeah. It's like, did she make that noise or did they digitally like put it in like sound effects? I don't know. I'm curious, but it's really odd. It takes you kind of out of your seat a little bit. Like I looked at my wife when that came on and she was like, she's like, what is happening? So, yeah, it might be the film that brings sci-fi back, like good sci-fi, you know?
I will say I think Alien Romulus started to bring it back, so hopefully it's a continuation because what we saw from the recent Aliens, not the TV show that was awful, but the
Yeah.
movie series of Alien Romulus that was pretty good.
Nice.
We're gonna stick a little bit. It's not sci-fi, but we're gonna go down the realm of superheroes, Chase, because at number five I have Spider-Man: Brand New Day, and a lot of people know I'm not really a Spider-Man fan, but I think when you have a Punisher already kind of confirmed that he's going to show up in this one, you have the Hulk and Spider-Man and I got a lot of on our top trilogies last episode, Chase. There was a lot
Yeah.
of people that were saying, "Hey, Spider-Man, that was a good solid three, that Disney Marvel just kind of put out there." And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, "Yeah, I could see it." So I mean, it's interesting that we're making like this fourth version. How it left off, spoiler, nobody really knows who this Peter Parker is, so he's going to be living a whole new reality here.
Yeah.
And the question just becomes what happens when you have a killer like a Punisher? What happens if Hulk decides to go back to like Raging Hulk instead of like the science nerdy guy that they turned him into later on in the Marvel franchise? But
Yeah.
if you've read any of the comics with the Punisher v Hulk and Punisher v Spider-Man, there might be some spoilers in there. And honestly, looking forward to how they handle that.
Yeah, I've never thought of Punisher showing up. I don't know much about the new Spider-Man. I'm still a Tobey Maguire fan. I grew up with that. So not that Tom Holland's bad or anything. And I think I wasn't fully excited about this one because I'm gonna get crucified now. It's my turn. Um, I didn't care for Spider-Man Homecoming. And it just didn't click for me. Mainly because it was kind of spoiled because the internet loves to spoil everyone. But it was spoiled for me, and so I just wasn't hyped for it. And then a lot of the dialogue was just callbacks to the other Spider-Man films, and yeah, I'm not going to go on my big rant, but I didn't really care about Homecoming as much as other people did. So I think that's why I didn't really care about this one coming out. But I really liked The Punisher, like the TV show. I thought it was really good. It was sad that they canceled it or stopped making it. So yeah, I think that if The Punisher is in it, I would probably go see it. I'll probably go see it anyway because Spider-Man is a great uh superhero. His movie, he stands for good, and I like that. So I'll probably go see it, but definitely didn't make my list.
And it's one of those, and the one thing that they've made Spider-Man kind of now, I get it. Spider-Man went to space a few times with the Avengers, but mostly his action takes place in one city, in his hometown, and he's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I kind of appreciate that Marvel's continued to keep him kind of there, unless it's like the Avenger movies. So I do
Well,
appreciate that it's
he
not
has
coming.
to be in a city. If he's like in the middle of Kansas, he can't really go much because there's no tall buildings for his webs. I'm just saying.
He's got a
Unless he goes
weakness.
to
He's
Dubai or
he's
something.
got Spider-Man has a weakness, and it's called the Midwest. Everybody.
Yeah, there's no tall buildings. He's not really going to be able to do too much. But all right, so my number four is a film I didn't realize was coming out until I saw the trailer on the Cinemark Instagram page. And then I became a child again and got super excited. And then I showed my wife, who even got more excited. And that is Masters of the Universe. Comes out June 5th. That just looks awesome. I haven't seen that remake in a long time. I think they made a remake in the 90s, which was a 90s film, if that makes sense, that review. But Masters of the Universe, Skeletor, I it looked really cool. When you compare the old to the new, you could tell that they really tried to make it authentic and just like the old show. And He-Man is such a when I was a kid, He-Man cartoon was on. Um, and it was really fun to watch. And true story, when I was working once and I came home. This was back when I lived in Missouri, and I came into the room and my wife was dancing. She was sitting on the couch, but she was dancing to the He-Man theme, and she was watching it. And it was a sight that I was like, I'm gonna marry this woman because we weren't married yet. I was like, wow, she's wow, huh. I didn't expect it. I would have lost money on it if I bet. And that image just was engraved in my mind. And she absolutely, we watched all this show and she loved it so much. And I was like, those things that you surprise. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna get surprised with your girlfriend one day where you're like, oh, didn't know you were a fan of that. Um, it's a good thing, all good things. But I just remember that. So when this movie trailer came out, I showed my wife and she was real excited. So I'm excited to see it. So that is my number four, Masters of the Universe.
Chase, I can tell you the trailer looked great. I don't know much about Masters of the Universe. I think I knew something along the lines of the internet culture, complaining about Kevin Smith, maybe about the whole He-Man series. But I don't know too much about that as far as like the cartoon when they brought it back. But I can tell you, based off how it looks, I'd go see it. I think it's probably one of the most fun trailered superhero films I've seen since, wait for it, Sky High. I'm just gonna make the comparison. Okay, I know it's
Sky High
probably
is great.
I know it's probably an awful comparison because this is probably a little bit more serious route, but I think it encaptures that kind of vibe. And I was like, okay, I'll go see Sky High Part Two. I think Masters of the Universe looks good.
Yeah, I think it would be good. I'm Sky High. I watched that movie like a month ago, and I could tell that if you're looking at quality, I was like, oh, it's not that great a film. But there's like a nostalgic feeling because I was a kid when it came out, and you're like, you know what? Some things you just let pass. And you're like, you know what? Not great graphics, but it's so good. I love it. So, um, but yeah, I'm real excited to see it. I hope that it has more of a darker theme to it when it comes to Skeletor, because I know films nowadays, when they're lit very poorly, and they have everything is lit up, including like the shadows behind them and whatnot, and that kind of ruins the film to me because there's no depth to it. So I hope they don't do that. Um, and I kind of was noticing that a little bit with the trailer, so I'm hoping that they don't do it. But if they show the shadows, especially with Skeletor, I think it would be really good. Um, if anything, people will watch it because they like He-Man as a character, which I like He-Man as a character. So there's going to be fans like that. So I'm sure there's going to be fans who hate it, and there'll be fans who love it. So I just go because I haven't seen it in a while, and I think it would be cool, especially with the effects nowadays. I think they could do a really good job. Hopefully, they don't screw it up though.
Or just hopefully they didn't put a whole lot of money into it as far as like an overinflated budget. Because I feel like this isn't a film in which is going to gross a whole lot of money. I could be wrong looking back at this episode, but hopefully they kept the budget within balance and that they're able to overcome. And hopefully there's a good turnout and hopefully it's a good movie. That's all I can say. Because superhero films lately have been on the downward slide. So you just hope that a new audience or the old audience is willing to just come back for this film. Speaking
Yeah,
about coming back for movies, we've talked about this, I think, on the channel once. They're starting up this like monster verse. There's a lot of Draculas coming out. I just saw Dracula, by the way, which we'll get in that conversation maybe even later or later on in a different episode. But you see the werewolf movies, you see the Bride coming out with Frankenstein, the Mummy film coming out is a very fascinating movie to me. Did you see the trailer for the Mummy? I think there was in Iron Lung. I think the intro trailer was for the Mummy, which
yeah,
I don't think it has any correlation with any of the other mummy movies that were more like a comedy slash horror or thriller, I guess you would add. I wouldn't say they were horror, but they tried their best for that time period. Um, I'm more interested to see what they do with a true straight up horror film because I'll tell you what, the look of the mummy, pretty terrifying, Chase. Just in the quick little, I think they only showed probably like 10 shots in like a 30-second clip there. So they left it very ominous and they're just
yeah,
like, we're gonna play around with it. We're gonna do like the scorpion crawling out of the mouth and the eye blink and stuff like things that you would see. And then it's also a kind of I think it's a kind of a setup to like a question of what happened to. I don't know if it's like this Queen of the Nile that it happened to, or a girl that just went missing because it's kind of weird. They don't really give you a whole lot of information who's in the casket. I'm sure whether it goes off comic books or something like that, I'm sure somebody can scour the internet and tell me exactly what it's trying to portray and what time period and like all this stuff. But I think the Mummy film, Chase, I'm looking forward to it. And that's continuing to rise up my list the more I watch this trailer because I do like my horror movies, and I think this won't be the only horror slash thriller on this list.
yeah. I figured. I was thinking the Mummy for you because I was like, yeah, he's probably going to put that out there.
And I
I'm
trust
not huge
Blumhouse,
on
by the way.
horror.
I trust Blumhouse and James Wan. I think it's a director again, or at least producer. So I trust him.
I think he's producer, but yeah, what I would, if I were you, I just wouldn't watch any other trailer because you're already interested in just the small amount that you've seen. So if you just don't watch a trailer and go in it blind, I think you would enjoy it more, in my opinion. But no, I thought the trailer was good. All the trailers that we saw when we saw Iron Lung were very flashy. And my wife's like, "Oh my gosh." But no, it does look creepy enough. I'm curious on what they do. Because if you think about it, like those ruins are actually kind of eerie in a sense. And I was reading this article about in Egypt, they found this tomb that they didn't know existed and they were going to open it. And I remember reading it thinking, don't open it. Have you not seen anything about any movie or anything about this? Like even Indiana Jones, when they opened the tomb, like I'd leave it closed. If you find it, just leave it. But I'm curious on what that movie is really going to be about. Is it going to be like a modern film or is it going to be more directed towards back in the Egyptian days? I don't know. I'm not into it as much as you are, but it does look interesting for sure.
And it could be a psychological thriller because to point, and I don't want to, I think that you probably heard the same stories about opening the tomb and stuff like that, the pharaohs from back then, is a lot of the, and I was watching this documentary about how a lot of the people that did open the tombs, they ended up dying in different ways. But it was more so because the diseases back then were different than the diseases now because they were sealed up. Some of the diseases and the bacteria and stuff got out. Now,
Yeah.
if you go to like a Salem witch trial type thing, where scientists, I was listening to a podcast where like it had to be the perfect winter combo for like the wheat in Salem. That the reason why they think the witch trials happened is because they were getting like high off the bacteria. So like it's like a weird like
All
historical
right.
thing as far as like, it's more of a mind thriller. So maybe the zombie's not even, or zombie cheese, maybe the mummy's not even coming back to life. Maybe it's all
Yeah.
in the head from like the disease, the bacteria that they come upon.
That could be it. I can appreciate like a historical horror film more than a modern horror film. So when it comes to that, I can appreciate this one more because it is historical. But unless it's modern and they just found this tomb and they opened it, then it might not be as good in my opinion. Um, but I am interested. So going away from horror, for my number three is Super Mario Galaxy. It comes out April 3rd. I'm a big Nintendo guy. I love those games, especially Mario games. They're really easy, they're really fun. I grew up with them, of course. Um, I have my own Switch, so we always play them. And they just came out with I think it's remastered Galaxy game on the Switch for 1 and 2. You can buy it now. I think that's going to be a fun movie because the first Mario movie was really good. I remember all the hate they were giving him, or giving that movie, because it was Chris Pratt being Mario. And I remember the friends that I used to sit with back when I was in Missouri, because that's when it came out. They just hated this film. They just hated the idea, or just people in general. I shouldn't pick specific people, but just people in general were just really against it. But then when it came out, people kind of moved past it and they really enjoyed it. And I think don't quote me, but I think it's the number one film for animation. It it earned the most. Like I think it beat Frozen and Frozen 2, and it's earned the most money as an animation film. I should have said that way clearer. But um and I think it deserved it. I think they were really good. I think Illumination is a good company for that. Get away from the Minions because I'm tired of Minions and focus on something like that. I think it's great, especially seeing Yoshi. Galaxy was a fun game. When we play Super Smash Bros, that's the map I like because it's flat. Well, it's curved, but it's like no obstacles. Uh, as you know, because we played before. Um, but no, I think it's gonna be a fun film. It has Rosalina in it. I think Brie Larson plays her, but uh, I think it's gonna be a fun film for family and friends. And we need more films that are family friendly. And I think these are just fun because I think kids can enjoy it, of course, because it's a cartoon. And then I think people like our age can enjoy it because we grew up with Mario. So it's cool to see Mario and everyone in that, everyone in the franchise being created and seeing the effects. And I just think it's going to be great. So yeah, Super Mario Galaxy comes out April 3rd.
See, that's one of those movies where you just hope it's like panders to the fans and just lets the fans have this whole experience from their whole childhood. That's the way I kind of look at it for these films. Now, it's not in my top five. So again, we're continuing to not have things in our top fives, which are great that we have like some diversity here upon movies. But I'll tell you what, watching the first one in theaters, I went into not knowing if I would like it and not knowing like the service that they would do to the fans. And it's almost like you went in like, oh, how can they find a way to ruin the film rather than like, how can they find a way to make this great? And I was very pleased walking out of the first one. I'm interested in the Galaxy. I think Bowser Jr. is going to be fun because
Yeah.
I think he's one of my favorite characters. And of course, you have Yoshi and Rosalina, like you talked about. So like I said, I'm excited for it. And what else can you really say about Mario? Mario stands alone, stands the test of time. He's going to be generational. Everybody knows his name and is going to continue to play games across all the different Nintendo platforms and the Switch 5001, however many Switches they decide to make. So yeah, I can't really say much about that film. It's definitely on my honorable mentions if I had to choose.
All right, what's your number three?
Number three, this is to no shock to people from the channel, but I do feel like they expect it to be a little bit higher than three. I'm a big Hunger Games fan. The I don't want what is it, four or five? I believe it's a sixth Hunger Game movie is coming out because they split like three into part one and part two. So I believe it's six now. Sunrise on the Reaping comes out in November. So Hunger Games always has an act to release all their films in November. So they're going to continue that trend as well because they feel like it's a good time around the Thanksgiving season for these movies. And it's going to be following I think the second quarter quell. I believe it's the 50th Hunger Games. So I'm very excited for that. Just to get back to the world of the Hunger Games, I feel like it's still an escapism series for me, where you can kind of go
Yeah.
away and not worry about the political atmosphere behind it, even though some people have used that movie as a reference for political themes in modern day, but it's still my escapism. And the fact that you can still learn new characters and figure out kind of the game design of how each
Yeah.
game is going to go down and the atmosphere and the different kind of like, even though they're on the same planet, the different Earth kind of feel, because each has a different environment, whether it's like a dome or whether it's a physical place, it just looks like a different planet every time. So you know how we talked about the Star Wars movies about what makes Star Wars great is going to every different planet that you can, whether it's a water planet, whether it's like a sand planet or a volcano planet. The Hunger Games has a tendency to kind of switch things up with their arenas, and it makes it kind of cool. So it's on my list. Like I said, it's number three. It's not up any higher. Typically, other years it'd be like number one, but it's number three for the year.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't kept up with Hunger Games as well. I read the books when I was in high school. We watched the first movie, second movie. I think I watched part one of the part two series, but afterwards I didn't watch. I didn't watch the latest one that came out. But what you should do is read the book before November because you have all year. So you should read the book and then go to the movie. That way you could be like, you can compare the two. It'd be a great conversation for the channel, Donnie.
Audience, since we're talking about books, we're going to do a quick promo to a Seized Tithe, in which you can buy the second one online. I believe you can buy the second one, right, Chase? You can buy the
Yeah, yeah,
second
yeah,
one
yeah.
online. Catalia Bryant, awesome author. So please feel free to go check that out. Seized Tithe. That is the only book I am reading this year, Chase. Anyways,
Yeah. You should read the second one too. I haven't read the second one. It's dedicated to me. So I was like, well, I really have to read it now. But no, I'm excited to read it. So yeah, that is a book you should read. Everyone should read. Good job.
back to the Hunger Games books. Yeah, I should read, and I always had the goal, like even throughout like high school, because it kind of came out during my high school run. And I had all anticipation and all want to read the books. Never ended up happening. So maybe we'll see. Can't promise, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Chase, number two.
Well, you've got all year, but number two. All right. Now, Donnie, I think on this list we're going to agree on one or even maybe two of them. I know one for sure, and that's the one I'm about to mention. My number two is The Odyssey, the Christopher Nolan Odyssey film. I I think Christopher Nolan's a great director. I can there are certain moments in his films I'm not huge on, so I wouldn't say he's my favorite director, but I appreciate what he's doing and I appreciate how much he loves cinema in the effect of like releasing it in theaters and how he's a little against streaming, kind of like Martin Scorsese, against streaming. But I think The Odyssey would be really good. I've read the book. It's been years since I've read the book. But it was actually something I wanted to read before the movie came out. I don't know if I will be able to manage that, but I'm going to try. Um, because I have read it before, so I don't really reread books. Once I've read it, I put it away and I'll never read it again. But I might try to reread this one because it's been a while. But anyway, The Odyssey, it's interesting because Nolan's really against CGI and really likes filming. I'm going to use the word organically. Like in The Dark Knight, he actually flipped a semi, or he actually had a plane go through a building in Tenet. Like he actually did that stuff. So The Odyssey, there are scenes and moments in the book that I'm sitting here trying to think, how is he going to do this? without CGI. And my personal opinion is he's going to dip his toe in the CGI. That's just my personal opinion. I might be wrong. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. Uh, but I'm curious in what he's going to do. Now, what I want him to not do is make it too modern. Like, I would like him to stick with the historical accuracy that is the Odyssey. Kind of, you've seen Troy 2004, Brad Pitt, um, Eric Bana. I hope that Nolan doesn't take it too modern, if you know what I mean. And I know people have made a comment about the helmet and whatnot looking very modern and not historical. So that's the only thing I'm going to be thinking about is like, Nolan, don't do this. But with Oppenheimer, he kept it very historical. He kept it very accurate. And so I hope he does that with the Odyssey as well. But I it looks really cool. When I watched Avatar in IMAX, they did a sneak peek of it, and that looked really great. The music was intense. It's exactly what a Nolan film does. Nolan's definitely a sound effects filmmaker for sure. With the score and everything, you can just tell he's really for that. And I don't know if Hans Zimmer is doing the score for this film or not. I'm not 100%. But Odyssey comes out July 7th, be on a lot of people's list. It's been really talked about. And so, yeah.
I mean, it's a great choice, and we are going to have a duplicate here, but it's not in this one, Chase. But for sure, Nolan is somebody and a director that we can kind of trust based off recent work. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think he's also an interesting one. I know that there's some internet clashes as far as who he casted and stuff, but I'll be honest with you, Nolan does a great job of taking people that like you wouldn't think would go well in a movie together. Like nowhere did I think a historical Homer movie would feature Tom Holland and Matt Damon. It's like a weird like combo of actors, but it always works well for him. And if you are an actor that Nolan chooses you to be in these films, you know you're doing something good. Because he's not choosing B tier actors for these films. Most of his films are like A tier to the point where like you're looking at like the award cycle. If you're accepting something like this as an actor, you're looking for awards because what he did with Oppenheimer, going through clean sweeps all over the place. I mean, that's what this is really about. So I think it's going to be a great resume film, but it's not number two. So obviously we know where that's going to fall on this list. Number two to me, Chase, is a trailer I saw about maybe 3 weeks ago. Hugh Jackman is in a film this year. He's in two different films, not counting whatever happens in Doomsday or Beyond. But two films he's in this year. I could say one's the honorable mention, but this one he stars as Robin Hood in The Death of Robin Hood. Chase, I don't know if you saw this trailer or not, but the trailer looks like a Logan type film to me. It looks like a man that's out for blood, that's out for revenge.
Hmm.
It kind of seems like they fall upon his island and he's trying to protect his village, his people. And it's just kind of a very feral Robin Hood, should I say, in his old age. And to me, that seems like I'm not going to say it's award worthy, but I'll tell you the sound, the score, the look of it, very Revenant kind of style look, and I'm all about it.
I was looking it up on IMDb. Yeah, I didn't know that movie came out. Uh, the director directed A Quiet Place day one, so hopefully he does better with this one than he did with that one. But um, yeah, it has Bill Skarsgård and yeah, it looks pretty cool. It does have that Revenant type feel to it, or the Northman type feel to it. Um, yeah, it comes out June 19th, everyone.
Like
So
I said,
yeah, that
this
might be
this
good. I'll
film
check
came out
that
of
out.
nowhere, Chase. Like I said, I just saw the trailer 3 weeks ago, and I was just so blown away by it. And of course, we talk about favorite actors, about you can't really choose, but Hugh Jackman's on that list for me. I mean, I'm biased because I'm a Wolverine fan, but Hugh Jackman, his work, I typically do go and support when he's in a movie. Prestige was still one of the best movies that he was in, though. Still one of the best. But
Prisoners, like
Prisoners was good too.
Prisoners was very good.
Prisoners was. You
You
want to
know,
talk about?
I saw Hugh Jackman live.
Did you?
I did. I went to his show in Vegas. And he sang Les
They
Miserables, Les Miserables. Yeah, I don't speak French, but He sang songs from that film. He sang a lot of songs. And he tap danced to Thunderstruck, which I thought wasn't a thing. And it's a thing. It was a cool concert. He's a really tall guy, really, really tall. Like I was sitting above looking down at him and he still was tall. So, um, great concert. So anyway, I just wanted to brag about that in front of you.
I mean, you should, because Hugh Jackman's one of the probably greatest performers as far as an actor and a Broadway star as you get. And if you ever get a chance to, I believe, I don't remember what late night show he was on telling his story, but about how he got into Broadway, hysterical, good. Go check it out.
Yep.
I will just say this, since we did talk about my number one, The Odyssey, which everybody knows is coming. Chase, I'm going to let you finish it off with your final number one. You get the last, you get to pick on this Mount Rushmore of films for 2026. Chase chooses.
Dune Messiah. And you probably knew that was coming. We talked about in our last episode about perfect trilogies that we couldn't choose Dune because it hasn't been finished, but it would probably be on that list. I think the first two Dune movies are incredible. And if you haven't seen them, Mr. Donnie Shields, go watch them. They are very good, very well filmed. Um, I think the director is probably one of the best in science fiction. He directed Arrival, he directed Prisoners that we talked about, and a smattering of other films that are really well done. He takes his craft and you could tell it's his craft and it's just beautiful. And Dune is amazing. I'm currently reading the book because I want to read Dune Messiah before December, which Dune Messiah comes out December 18th. And you have to read Dune, and then the next book is Dune Messiah. And then there's a smattering of other books. I said smattering a lot. Sorry. Um, but I want to read those books before because I think Dune Messiah is going to be great. If you haven't watched Dune Part 2, it ends really well. Dune Part 2 is probably my favorite out of the Dune movies right now because from the old Dune movie from the 80s, those are the parts I really liked were when he was in the desert. So Dune Part 1 is setting everything up. Dune Part 2 is him in the desert and becoming the Muad'Dib or the Messiah per se, the chosen one. And then you will see what he does in Dune Messiah, which I don't know because I haven't read the book and I don't know nothing about it. So, uh, yeah, Dune Messiah, I think it's gonna be a great film. I hope it is just as strong as the other two. I know that it's the same director. I think it's a different cinematographer, but still, I think it's going to do well. And Dune Part 2, I think, got robbed at the Academy Awards. It didn't win as many, and most of the judges admitted that they never seen the movie, which I think is really sad. But um, with that, Dune Messiah, if you haven't seen the other ones, you have to see this one in theaters because it is gorgeous. And if they might do a re-release in theaters for Dune Part 1 and 2. I didn't see Dune Part 1 in theaters because it was during a time where no one could go anywhere. So I watched it from home. But definitely saw Dune 2. I saw it twice in theaters. But yeah. Dune Messiah, December 18th.
Well, there's certain movies, Chase, that always are like, if you're talking to a casual movie person or a diehard movie person, it's all the same. You tell them typically there's certain films in which you need to see in theaters. I argue that Top Gun Maverick was one. I argue that all the Avatars are one just for the visual spectacles. I said that Oppenheimer was one for the sound. I would say that Dune, I need to make a full attempt to go see the third one at least in theaters, or watch the first one and two that get re-released in theaters, because I feel like that's a franchise that you need to see on the big screen. And I've always
It
said
is.
that, and I've always kept that kind of the idea, even though I haven't seen the other two yet. But I would tell people like, hey, there's certain films that you need to watch in theaters, and that is one of the franchises you need to watch in theaters for sure.
And well, funny enough, I have not seen Top Gun Maverick. I own the movie. It's over there, and I haven't seen it. I still haven't watched it.
Oh, Chase, you're missing out. You need to, because like I said, we went back to our top five trilogies. Top Gun, if they make a third one, which it sounds like they are, and it's just as good, maybe, but probably not. But no, I mean, I think the biggest surprise, and let's do a quick segment here, Chase. The biggest surprises for both of us that didn't make the list, and I kind of figured it wouldn't make your list. I knew as soon as I didn't put it in the top five for me, it wasn't going to get mentioned here. Doomsday coming out has fallen from glory. Where has it gone, Chase? Doomsday has fallen from the list. Are you kidding me? But no, I mean, honestly, Spider-Man Brand New Day, I mentioned number five. I am more excited to see Spider-Man Brand New Day than Doomsday. That has to show you something.
Yeah, I Marvel's just kind of fallen through the cracks for me. Like I'll watch it probably, but I don't know. I'm just not as hype as I used to be about it. Once Thanos got defeated and the ending of Endgame was Captain America dancing with his bride and living a happy life, like I closed that book. I said that is a perfect ending. That song they played was in my wedding. I'm just gonna leave it at that. That is a great ending for the show, and I just left it at that. But what happens is when you have such a good ending and you have to keep continuing because they're doing it for money, as you know, it isn't the same. It can't be the same because you had such all these years, all these phases of Thanos was the guy, and then he got defeated, and now you're going to continue with the new guy, and they can pull from comic books, and I understand that, but from growing like Iron Man came out in 2018, and Thanos got defeated in 2019. Like I think that's 20 years of like movies getting. Is that 20 years, or am I just bad at math? That's 20 years.
2008 through 2019, that is 11.
All right, I didn't go to school for math. Anyway,
But if we
yeah,
want to go back to like the original Hulk that everybody references, I think that was like an early 2000s. So like you're really pushing the 20 there. Like it's possible we can manage to find a way to math this.
I did not go to school for math, folks. I went to school for film.
I
So
mean, Black Widow was a original trilogy, like like the old school Marvels. It came after Endgame, so maybe you squeeze that to like an extra year or two there. We
yeah,
can make this work, Chase. We can
I
make it
I
work for
hope.
20.
I hope, but no, but it just was a perfect ending for me, and it's hard for me to move on from that. And I kind of went towards DC a little bit more, being more excited about that because then the new Superman movie was coming out, and I knew about it. And James Gunn went from Marvel to DC, and I like what James Gunn has been doing so far. So, um, but I am and listen, hopefully maybe other people don't know this, but I like more of the artistic films than the entertainment films. And that's how I kind of split the films into. I mean, entertainment films are fun, but they're just entertainment. When you get into the artistic side of film, you get into the more beauty of life, beauty of like the grief, the hate, the love. Like you get into what life is meaning about, and it's showcased as a canvas through film. And to me, it's like walking through an art museum and seeing all these different types of pieces and how they're created and what's the meaning behind them and all the beauty in like an art museum. So when you watch a film that is a specific canvas, I think it's really gorgeous. And if I ever make it to an AMC theater, I want my films to be more of an artistic film than just pure entertainment. Though most of my list was mainly pure entertainment. Um, those are the type of films I was aiming for.
Yeah, and again, I think most of the time the films that might end up being some of our best films of the year are like the Hamnets of the world, where you don't even know a film's coming out till you see the trailer about 4 months before it comes out. you
Yeah.
know, a lot of the films that we've talked about now, granted, for some reason, like I said, the Death of Robin Hood showed up for a June release. The Hunger Games has been pushing because they're a bigger franchise. The Mummy's coming out even later in the year, but like they're dropping trailers. So I think right now we only have certain names to go off of for 2026 and as far as big titles and anything that they're pushing right now in the trailers, because you look through this list and there might not be the bolded names in the section. There might be some like a little film that comes out that is just like a cult classic later on in the year. So we
Yeah.
always have to reserve the right to be like, hey, this might not be the best film of the year, but these are the most anticipated films of 2026. Guys, tell us in the comment section what you guys think are your most anticipated films of 2026, or just tell us why we're wrong and why our order is all mixed up. like why Marvel's only been going on for 11 years, even though Chase is like 30 years down the road,
Yeah.
this stuff. But Chase, I have one wrap up final question for you because you saw this film. The internet just so loved my response to Markiplier's Iron Lung so much. Chase, the floor is yours because I want an Iron Lung review from Chase Morgan Hewlett.
Now, first off, before I continue my review, I've never played the game, never heard of the game, don't know anything about the game. I didn't know anything about the movie, and I never saw a trailer. I went because I enjoy Markiplier. I enjoy his content. Even though he's made a video playing this game that I just never saw that video. I enjoy his humor. He seems like just a down to earth guy that just wants to play games. He's funny, he's entertaining. So I wanted to support him, but I also like that a film that isn't backed behind a big, powerful studio like Warner Brothers or Netflix got a release this big. I think that's very motivating for independent filmmakers like ourselves and just other people. It was very motivating to watch. And for me, I was like, okay, I want to watch this. I want to mainly support him because I think that's really cool for a film that only cost, I don't even remember, like 12 million. I don't remember how much it cost, but it was a low amount compared to these $80 million films that are just they have to make that much money in order to succeed. And this film was just a low budget, and it definitely beat its butt. Like it succeeded. And the fact that he only thought it would be released in like a few theaters, maybe around his area, and it got like a worldwide release, like across America, and so many people went to this movie because they like him. I think that's really cool. And applaud Markiplier. That's awesome that you were able to do this. That's really cool. Now to the movie. I didn't hate it. I went into this movie knowing nothing and not having any negative thing to say. Because I think sometimes if you go into a movie with a negative heart or negative, like having a negative thought about it, you're not going to like it. It's kind of like trying food and you keep telling yourself you don't like it. You're probably not going to like it because you're telling yourself that as you're consuming it. And then that's all you're going to get out of it. So I try to be open-minded, even if I have the faintest idea I might not like it. I'm still going to go in with an open mind. And I think my rating would be a 7. And the reason I say that, if you don't know my rating, is I did enjoy it. When I was watching it, it was a slow burn film. I like slow burn films because it really drags you into the story. Like you're in that submarine with him. And I think it's cool. And it also reminded me of playing a game, like finding clues and finding a note and being like, all right, if you put these wires together, this happens. And finding something when he took a picture, he found that other submarine and he's like, all right, why is that down here? I thought I was the only one that's been down here. And kind of the mystery behind it, not seeing outside the submarine, I thought they did a really good job with the sound effects and really keeping you in that room. In fact, I'm really happy that they kept you in that room. Like you didn't go really out barely at all. Um, but I think the thing that kind of lost me was it was one of those endings where it could be that there is hope, but also there is no hope. And I'm not too big on those type of endings of everything's hopeless, give up on life. Not that this movie did that, but the ending, spoiler alert, obviously he didn't make it. Like he didn't make it because his arm got ripped off. He turned into the creature that he kept seeing in the submarine. He pretty much turned into that. And towards the end, you just see the files that he took from the other ship and just floating in the water and the light blinking because he wrapped it in like the life jacket. And that was the end of the film. So if it was floating, that means it was either just floating in the submarine and no one ever got the files and all was lost, or it actually made it to the surface and there is some hope. It seems like they kind of left it open to interpretation of like it's either one or the other. You can decide. And I can appreciate films doing that. Um, I personally have done that with one of my films, kind of left it open. Um, Even though I know the real answer. But um I thought it was well filmed. Now when I watch a movie, of course, I look at more than just the story. I look at everything about it. And I did appreciate it for the most part. I just don't want a film that makes me feel hopeless when I leave the theater. Like, I'm not comparing it to this film, but like Nosferatu, you left the theater just kind of disgusted. Well, I did. Because even though they did defeat him, he, like, all was lost. Like, it didn't matter, really. And I think that's the only part of the film that I didn't really care for. But the introduction, being introduced to it, Mark, I thought did a really good job acting. You could tell he was really passionate about this film. He did a really good job. I thought some of the camera angles were very unique. Um, and it reminded me of a video game. I think some of the shots they had were because it was adapted from a video game, so it's really cool. It's kind of like Doom when it came out in 2005, and they had this like first-person shooter type. I don't know if you remember that or if you've ever seen Doom. Carl Urban played him, and you just get this like first-person POV of him fighting the Doom demons, and it's so cool because I love that game. So that kind of reminded me when it came to Iron Lung, just experience it like it was a video game. So I appreciate it for that point. But I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I would watch it again. I probably wouldn't own it, but if I didn't watch it again, it wouldn't bother me. So that's what my sevens are. If you guys don't know, sevens are I did enjoy it, but I don't really need to watch it again. Eights are I enjoyed it and I would. Nine is I liked it more than I thought I would, and 10 is loved it. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, it would fall into that category. I did enjoy my time. And my wife said it best. I didn't feel like I wasted my money. She's like, it's not my favorite movie, but I didn't waste my money watching it. And I think that's a solid, good review right there. I don't think I'll get hate on that.
Nope. I think you actually said a lot of articulate things and were very on point with a lot of the things that I think I emphasize, just not nearly as good. So maybe that's on me. I guess my and our rating scales, we know are different. So like your sevens out of 10, like my five is kind of like hit or miss, could flip flop either direction, still maybe own it, maybe not, put it on the background type filming, which I said that's what it was. So, but I think you definitely articulated it better. Um, like I said, I am so glad for Markiplier. I will stress this again. I think what he did inspires a lot of us as independent filmmakers. I
Mhm.
think what he's able to accomplish should inspire a lot of other people as well. And quite frankly, he ticked off Disney because Disney already early on Sunday morning, they were claiming that they were the number one movie in America for the weekend. And they did edge it out, but it was very, very close. And they jumped the shark a little bit, but they did get the numbers out. But no, good for Markiplier. People showed up. I'm not ever discouraging people from going to see a movie, no matter how much me or Chase talk about the film, whether it's good or bad. I think that honestly, everybody should go see something that they're interested in.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part. And remember, everything that we just say, it's all opinions. It's all about how we kind of orchestrate the films in our minds, what we would do differently as filmmakers and other things like that. But always encourage people to go watch films, go encourage them to go watch art, to go dabble in video games, acting, music, etc. So no matter what we say, be sure to go check on that stuff. Chase, I believe our conversation has came to an end today. We're going to possibly do a review later on about Dracula if Chase wants to see it or not, but that'll be for a different video. I'm not going to push that into this video.
Yeah.
But getting out of the theaters, I will say it is unlike Nosferatu, Chase, so you will probably appreciate this movie a little bit more.
Okay. I've read the book, so I'm wondering if it's close to the book or not.
I never read the book, but the book that I am going to be reading is Tithe. So just so you know, audience, maybe I can drop the link in the description below. Go buy it. Chase, where can people find you at?
Instagram. True Light Pictures is the company that I have. That's mainly where I go out. I have LinkedIn too, if anyone has LinkedIn anymore, but um, mainly Instagram. I don't really do social media as well as I probably should, if I'm being honest. But from what I usually do is from there. But that seems like the main hub besides TikTok, which I don't do TikTok at all. I'm a little, as you guys probably figured out, I'm a little old-fashioned, which isn't always the best when it comes to this day and age, when it comes to film, because a lot of things are now more of like digital on social media and shorts and whatnot, and I'm not good at that. But uh, that's where you can find me.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Movie Mayhem. I'm Donnie Shields. That's Chase Morgan Hewlett. If you like us, give us a like on the video. Go give a subscription to the channel. Go follow Chase's channel at True Light Pictures. Go watch some of the films. And probably within a few weeks, Chase, I think we got a big trailer that might be dropping here, working on for a feature film in which a lot of people have been hearing about, especially if you follow us. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless.